Guys, welcome to the first in my misconceptions about Christianity series. Today I'm gonna be tackling on why is it that some people believe that theology is only for dry academics and has no importance in our lives. Well, I would say that the reason why a lot of people believe that is because they look at all the seminaries and all the academic studies and all the giant textbooks and think, no, that's not for us normal Christians, who just want to, love Jesus. And yes, that is important. That's literally the center of Christianity. However, theology is literally the study of God. Like, it helps us to know God better and in ways that we didn't have before. I mean, Jesus literally in John 17 says that to know God is eternal life. And granted, when he says no, he means, the kind of like the relationship between lovers, that kind of knowing deeply and intimately about each other. And that is what our relationship with the Lord looks like. But, when it comes to a relationship with just anybody, you cannot love what you don't know. And that's what theology is trying to help us with. It organizes our Christian belief in a way that makes sense. And also, it gives names to complex ideas and thoughts in the scriptures, and it helps us to also be grounded in truth, because in this day and age, it's so easy to get swept up in letting your emotions do all the thinking for you, and I'm not at all advocating that we cut off emotions, because that would just be stupid, and also that would be going against what the Lord has designed in us. We are ultimately emotional creatures. However, if you had to decide how your walk with the Lord is at the moment by just your emotions, it's going to flip-flop every hour, And theology helps us to ground those truths, to help us be rooted in what is certain, not just in what we feel. And now, granted, that doesn't mean, that when you try and study theology, that doesn't mean that you are ultimately a theologian, you must become, an academic student, that's not how it works, because just because you know math does not mean you ultimately, are a mathematician. It just means that you apply what you have learned to your life. And it's the same with theology. You might know a little bit or you might know a lot, but what you apply to your life is what matters. Because if your theology, and if you look up everything about theology or try to learn about it, doesn't cause you to actually want to worship God more, then ultimately it's not the theology that's doing something wrong, it's your heart that needs to be rechecked. And I'm also saying this to myself because I've had to recheck constantly on who am I doing this for, and am I actually applying what I've learned to my life, and is this changing in a good way of how I see the Lord, and so I hope that you guys are, encouraged, and it's just a little food for thought, on my side. But love you guys, and may the Lord bless you as you go in this week. Have a good time, and have a good day or night.